What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to College Football Talk with Peter Burtnett, bringing you a couple of midweek notes, some of the latest news in college football as we approach the NFL draft. That is obviously the biggest news. If you've missed some of my previous videos, I have a lot of breakdowns and information about that, some of the undervalued prospects, some of the overvalued, and obviously my mock draft. And I'll have a breakdown of the draft, kind of my thoughts probably on the first round coming on Friday, maybe in the morning or afternoon, depending on when I can get to that. But in this video, just kind of giving an update. It's been a little bit of a busy Wednesday in college football, so we'll be bringing you guys the latest news. But before I do, if you're going to enjoy this video, please feel free to leave a like, consider subscribing to the channel, and turn on those post notifications so you're always up to date whenever I post. But without further ado, let's get into it. The big news of the day is that Reggie Bush, the running back who was a standout star player at USC before having a fairly successful NFL career as well, the original winner of the 2005 Heisman Trophy, had it removed because of violations, but the Heisman Trophy Trust has reinstated the award. And I think this is something that college football fans, whether you are a USC fan, a neutral, or even if maybe you're a Notre Dame or UCLA fan, you can't stand the Trojans. I think a lot of people, maybe even most people, wanted to see Bush get his Heisman back, and it seems like they finally made that decision today. I think it is a good thing. I think he on the field played to deserve that trophy. Nothing that he did in terms of the violations impacted his performance on the field, like if he had taken steroids or anything like that. It was simply receiving benefits that are now legal, back then considered improper. I will say the one point, this is more from a philosophical, moral perspective. You know, if you break a rule, there are consequences for that, even if that rule does change. That's the only slight, kind of hold up I have on this. But otherwise, I think he is very deserving of getting the Heisman Trophy back. Again, his play on the field was very much deserving of it in the 05 season. I'll probably pop up maybe his stats from that season here on the video. Another thing that was kind of more the headlines a little bit today, it was talked about by Heather Dinich on ESPN. I'll pop up probably a couple of her tweets today, is the College Football Playoff Committee's spring meetings. They've actually been going, I think, since yesterday, continued today on Wednesday. Some of the things that they did, it seemed like they were going over like a 12-team mock seeding type thing. One of the pictures that Dinich posted was from the 2022 season, kind of listing out those seeds with the 12-team format that is expected to go forward for the 2025 and 2026. I think they haven't discussed anything going beyond 2026. So that 12-team playoff taking effect, it will be taking effect this year. And so one other thing to note from that, actually two other things. The first one is the Army-Navy game, and this kind of segues into the next point anyways. The Army-Navy game, which typically takes place the week after the final college football playoff rankings are announced, will not impact the seeding of the college football playoff or either one of those teams making the playoff, and they will still both be eligible. So I think that's kind of an interesting thing. That game obviously means so much because it's two of our military academies coming together and playing a game that means so much to so many people and is always, just kind of a classic football game to watch, often low scoring and everything. And it obviously more than anything means so much because of the young men going from both the Army and the Navy going against each other. So always a very important game. Won't mean anything for the playoff, but both teams will still be eligible. And then that kind of goes into another point that was discussed, and I think this was more from yesterday, but the group of five is exploring potentially having their own postseason tournament. Now, there is a little bit of hesitation on this. Retiring American Athletic Conference, AAC, Commissioner Mike Aresco said, he doesn't want that to separate the group of five teams. The way he says it is he doesn't want it to separate us from the big guys. I think in that quote, there's maybe a little bit of that separation anyways. If you're saying you don't want to be separated from the big guys, what does that make you? It makes you kind of the little guys. So there's already kind of that separation. I think this is a bit more, if they go forward like this, I would consider it more of like an NIT. It doesn't necessarily mean, maybe it even opens the door for those teams that just miss out on the college football playoff itself, whatever they would end up calling this kind of second tournament, whether it's exclusively group of 5 teams, or maybe they make some changes and they allow some of those teams that miss out on the 12 team and probably even expanding field in the Power 5 level, or Power 4 as it will be now. So I think it's interesting. I think probably if they have something like an NIT tournament, I don't think it separates. I think it's, again, maybe not exclusive where only group of 5 teams can be in it and they can't make the main college football playoff, and at the same time maybe they even open it up so some Power 5 teams can be in there. But that would be an interesting dynamic. I think that second point is less likely, because then what's to stop it from being filled completely with Power 5 teams again, or Power 4? So those are kind of a couple other things. And then final news of the day, it's week 0 announcements for the 2025 season. Looking at this year, it's week 0 is always a little, not the best games. This year, Florida State and Georgia Tech will be playing in the Aer Lingus game in Dublin, Ireland. And it was announced today, Wednesday, that in 2025, on August 23rd, Iowa State and Kansas State will be playing at Aviva Stadium in Dublin, again on August 23rd. So it's Farmageddon. I think it's a fun matchup that will be exciting to look forward to. This past game, those two teams played a game basically in a snow globe. So seeing those two teams take a Big 12 game out to Ireland will be very interesting to watch, and I think hopefully pairs the two teams up better than I would expect Florida State and Georgia Tech to be. But last couple of years, I think this past year was Notre Dame, Northwestern, and I think it was Northwestern, Nebraska the year before. So, or maybe I'm getting the years mixed up. Either way, I know those have been the last 2 matchups. So certainly something to look forward to already for the 2025 season. That'll really kick off the season. So again, something to anticipate in the near future. But that's it for this, again, kind of midweek update of college football talk. If you've watched the end of this video, thank you so much for taking the time to watch. Leave your thoughts below on Reggie Bush getting his Heisman back and the 12-team playoff and potential group of 5s playoff, and your thoughts on the Aer Lingus game in 2025. But that's it for this episode. I'm your host, Peter Burnett, signing out. Peace.